I wouldn't be doing the things that it's doing for me. I just simply wouldn't. So not only is it getting done, it's getting done and it's making me look great.
Welcome to The Edit. If you're a photographer looking to elevate your business, you're in the right place.
We're 3 seasoned pros who have managed profitable businesses over the past 2 decades. Together, we've curated strategies for what works and what doesn't, and we're here to share that knowledge with you.
Whether you're just starting out or have been around a while, join us to build sustainable, profitable, and fulfilling businesses together.
Hello, and welcome to a new episode of The Edit, where we take all of the knowledge that we've learned over the last 2 decades and share it with you. So I'm Erin from Nashville. We've got Amanda from Seattle and Whitney from Minneapolis. And we've been photographers for a long time. We've got lots of things that we want to share with you. The way that we do that is we talk about it here in the show, and then we put together a newsletter that you can get in your inbox and we'll add to it. So if you are not subscribed to that yet, you can go to theeditweekly.com and sign up so that you can get all of that goodness. We're also on Instagram at The Edit Weekly. And today we are going to talk to you about CRMs. So I'll be bringing most of this information to you because I think I'm the one of the 3 of us that has used a CRM the most. Show of hands and voices, Amanda and Whitney, do you currently use a CRM or have you used one in the past?
No. I have like my own little random, kind of cobbled together system. It works for me, but I'm excited to hear about today because maybe I will realize that my system really doesn't work as efficiently as it could if I went with somebody else. So I'm excited to share all about who you use.
Okay, Whitney?
I did use a CRM for, probably 10 years. And, but since I don't do regular shoots anymore, I do not currently have one, but, it was super helpful.
Yeah. So there are so many, and I'm going to list off a few of them. If you're not sure what I mean by CRM, that is a customer relationship management software. There are more official definitions, but how I'm going to define it is it helps you manage your client's experience within your business. So I want to make sure that if a client contacts me in slow season or a client contacts me in busy season, they're all getting the best of me and the best experience. And if someone reaches out and asks a question and they're like, did you tell me that? Or do you have this information somewhere? For me to just know that everybody got what they needed, whether it was in a contract or an email or a portal. So for me, it's just making sure that everything is equal and taken care of, even if I can't be at the computer. So that's what a CRM is for me. There's, if you go and you're looking for them, there's so many geared for photographers. There's Studio Ninja, there's Sprout, Picsello, 17 Hats, which I used in the past, HoneyBook, IrisWorks. The one that I, kind of fell into, and I'm so glad that I did 6 years ago, is Dubsado. And I just fell into it because I was using 17 Hats, which was fantastic. But any CRM takes a little bit of time to get it set up. And I think that's why a lot of people don't use it. They're intimidating to get them.
Yeah.
Yes. I see Amanda giving her lean. So that's here. Like,
that's the thing. I feel like anytime I've kind of tried, it's just been like such an intimidating process when I already have everything kind of all set. Like I already have the company my contracts are through and where my client database is. So the thought of having to start over and move that information to somewhere else is really daunting.
Yes. And so that's intimidating. And so I had 17 Hats for a while. And even though it's fantastic, my best friend still uses it to this day. A couple of other friends of mine were using Dubsado and they said, we hired someone to set it up for us and we'll give you her contact information. And I said, done. And I have since, yes. So I've since learned there are people who their job is just to set up Dubsado, and 17 Hats and Picsello and all of these. So, the first tip from today's podcast is whatever you choose to go with, you can Google or you can go into Facebook user groups for whichever CRM you choose to use and find someone who knows how to do this. I would have actually never done it. I know I would have never actually. If I had, let's say maybe I did, it would have taken me 100 hours probably to make it run the way that it does right now. So if the intimidating part is what's stopping people from getting a CRM, I think hire someone. Now let's talk about a little bit about what CRMs can do and how I'm using mine in my business.
Now, Erin, I wanted to share that when we, and I say we, because when I was a photographer in Nashville, we had associate photographers and also someone, an office manager. And so we absolutely had to have a CRM or we could not have kept up with everything. And when you were talking, I realized one of the reasons we were able to use it is I did not have to set it up. The big thing of office manager and my spouse Peter, who did all our financials as well, that had it set up. So if you are working with more than one photographer or have a studio, absolutely you have to have it. And so I think, and I don't believe at the time there were people that I could have hired to do that. And I absolutely would have if I didn't have somebody else just to do it for me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, yes. Again, this was 6 years ago when I hired her and it was, I thought that's genius that this is what you're doing. And now it's a full-time thing for her, to where she sets it up. So she's so much quicker, than we can. And so, yes, in case people don't know, just hire that out. Go into the user groups on Facebook. There are plenty of people who can help you.
And you're all about outsourcing. I feel like that's our thing is all of us have talked about how valuable it is to outsource when it's not your specialty.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that whenever I talk about the price, the cost of it. So the thing that I love about a CRM, no matter which one you're using, is how if it's set up correctly, you look like you're on top of it all the time. So my clients will send an inquiry through my website. Now I'm a micromanager by nature. And so there are still a few things that I want to do, that could be even more automated than how I have it set up. But I have it set up to where they don't get an auto response just by filling that out. I want to read it first. I want to make sure they're actually looking for information on a session before I send it out. And then they're not like someone's grandma trying to buy a print.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do look at the inquiries when they come in through my email. They come in as a lead. And so you have leads, you have current clients, you can have past clients, you can have archives. And I will just go in and within the lead, I will activate a workflow. So all of my workflows are set up to where it will then start sending them the information that they need. It's all automated and it says in there, this is an automated message. I will touch base with you within 24 hours to personally answer any questions that you have. Because sometimes somebody in an email might ask me specifically, can we shoot on this date or can we shoot at this location? Mm-hmm. And I don't want them to think that I ignored that part.
Yeah.
Because that was another hesitation. Mm-hmm. That was another hesitation with a CRM from, I don't want to take the personality out of it. Mm-hmm. So some of my emails say, this is automated, just so people know,
Yeah.
Well, it sends them, the initial inquiry or the response. At that point, I like to talk back and forth with them a little bit to make sure that they choose the right time of year, the right date for what they're looking for, or the right location. So I do want hands-on at that point. I don't have the scheduler set up, but if I wanted to, there is a scheduler. So they could just go in and choose a date right then and there. Yep. And I actually used the scheduler in the past for things like cap and gown mini sessions. So I haven't used the scheduler. I do love it, but I don't use it all the time for all of the clients. And then at that point, when they say, yes, this is the date we want, this is the location we want, this is all the things, I plug that in. And then the magic really starts to happen, because at that point, they get their contract to sign. And as soon as they sign their contract, it sends them an invoice to pay. And then as soon as they pay the invoice, it sends them an email saying, I'm so thrilled that we get to work together. Here's a wardrobe guide. Here are session tips. Here's what to expect from me next. And then at that point, depending on how close we are to their session, there are a few other emails that are put in there, like last minute reminders, things to prep for your session, things like that. Don't forget about your session on this day. And then we do the photo shoot. They get home. The next morning, there's an email saying, it was so great, so nice to see you. Here's what to expect next. And it sends them my price list again, talks about the order appointment. We do that. And then when they have products in their hand and everything is said and done, they get one last email from me at this point that's, how was your experience? And it's questions for them to fill out. And to be honest, I used to never send that. Like, I'm too busy. I'm moving on to the next,
Yeah, right, exactly.
And so for those emails alone, a CRM is worth it to me. It was a game changer for if I am, if I have 3 sessions and an order appointment that week and my kid has gymnastics and all the things, I still know that everyone's getting their session reminders. Everyone's getting what they need. And so to me, that's the biggest reason for having a CRM. I feel like when we do shows like this, they're a lot one-sided. I want to give you a second. Do you have any questions, any comments, or do you want me to keep talking about all the things?
I'm wondering, so all the email responses and everything that you send out, are those emails that you wrote and you sent to the woman that was setting it up? Or did she say, hey, this is how I do it? Here's
Excellent.
a suggestion.
Yep. So, and this was over 6 years ago. I'll try to remember. But we did sit down face to face. I'm sure she may not do that as much these days, but, she said, walk me through your process. And she wrote it all down. And she said, go in your inbox and look at the emails that you've been sending back and forth over the last few weeks. What types of emails do you keep sending out? Or what do you wish that you were sending out that would make your process smoother? You wrote all that down. This was just conversation at this point.
Yeah.
So then she sent me an email the next day that was like, here's what I need you to take time writing. You can copy and paste a lot of it probably from emails that you've recently sent, but I need you to write an email for this, 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 and this. And then we talked about what order that would go in. She set it all up for me, and then I could just go in and say, actually, let's change this. And when you have a good CRM, the way that those are set up to be at the right time. When I put my client in with that booking before they sign their contract, they have a date. Let's say their session date is September 1st. So they will get some emails, say 3 days after they sign their contract. They will get some emails 1 month before their session date or 2 weeks before their session date. So that's how we're setting up when the emails go out. It's all based on a defined amount of time connected to that session date that we've inputted. But yeah, so I did have to write that. I believe there might be template. And I hesitate to say that because I did not think to do the research before we were recording, but there may be some templates that are available, especially depending on what CRM you have, For me, though, again, I'm a micromanager and I want my personality on it. So up and right and all. That was a great question.
Yeah. Well, and I imagine, and I imagine too, I'm thinking about like, just in general, there are, you can pop on Etsy and find templates for like everything. So I got to imagine that if you are somebody who is struggling with trying to find the correct wording and maybe, what sort of stuff you want to send out, pop on over to Etsy, like ask in like, if anybody's part of a photographer group. I know that PPA does have a bunch of templates that you can take from if anybody's a PPA member. But I just think I feel like I've gone on Etsy to find just templates that I can customize and make my own, but at least it gives me a lot of what I'm trying to put out there, and somebody else has worded it in a much more eloquent way. And then I just kind of like edit it a little bit to make it more of my own. But yeah, it's, I think that could probably also be intimidating, is like having to start from scratch for some people. But I feel like there are so many options out there for finding templates or finding people who could write a template for you.
Mm-hmm. Even my wardrobe guide it's created by another photographer who sells the wardrobe guide, and I purchased it, put it into my CRM. All of my clients get it, and it's one of their favorite things. I feel like that they're like, my best friend didn't get that with her photographer, and so it's such minimal effort for me, but makes a big impact.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, but
like you're saying, I definitely feel like the one thing I was just going to comment on is how you were saying it makes you feel just like on top of things.
Yeah.
Being somebody who has hired a bunch of different photographers for different family portrait sessions and just different, headshots and all of that. The one thing I've found that a lot of photographers lack is that communication. Like, I'm the one reaching out to them saying, hey, do you need anything else from me? Hey, are we still good for our session in like 2 days? I haven't heard. So, which is frustrating for me. And so I can only imagine what it must be like for people who've hired photographers who maybe just like need that communication to know, hey, we're still here. We're still planning on all this stuff. So to be able to not have to put calendar reminders, reach out to client A about their session in 2 days, that it's just all set up in your workflow. I mean, that right then and there, I think that if a client is working with a couple or has worked with a couple of different photographers, that just sets you apart right there, that you are on top of communication.
Yes. A long time ago, our mutual friend, Chris Scott, that all three of us love, he helps us. He works on the edit with us. He told me when I was working on pricing and I was talking about like, well, this is what the going rate is in my area. This was probably 12, 13 years ago. And he said, I don't care. Then you don't want your clients to compare apples to apples. You can let them be apples and you're going to be an orange. He was like, what can you do in your business that's going to set you apart so that they can't compare price because the experience is totally different. And many times in the last 12 years, 13, I can't remember how long I've been in business. It's been longer than that. I think it's been 14. You stick with a number for, you like get stuck on it. Now, it was 2010. I've said many times, I'm not the best photographer in town. Nashville has so many amazing photographers, but I'm going to give you the best experience possible. I'm going to be organized. You're going to be prepared. I'm going to make you feel like you're my one client. This is how I do it. And many times over the last, 6 years for sure, people have said, you're so organized for a creative person. You're so organized. I'm going like, it's not me. It's the computer. It's Dubsado. Yeah. Yeah. I should be a commercial for that. But in no way is this sponsored or endorsed by, I'm kidding. So the emails is obviously my favorite part about Dubsado. The client workflow to send them what they need when they need it. But also while that's happening, as long as you have it set up, it will also send you task reminders. So when someone is in my workflow and they have a session that needs a makeup artist, it will tell me you need to book a makeup artist for X client by X date. And so, and things like ordering their session proofs within enough time for me to have those in my hand before their order appointment, things like that. So the task management is also fantastic. One thing that I did not mention when we were talking about the emails, I did say that I was a micromanager. Some of them I have set up to where they automatically happen based on the workflow, but there is an option where you must approve it first. And I have those set up. I honestly can't remember what I have them set up for. I think it's just the session reminder. And it's because, it's the session reminder. Because I was having clients that would come and they might need to adjust the time a little bit because all of a sudden they have a volleyball tournament or something.
Mm-hmm.
We would chat about making changes to their session, but then I would forget to go back in and make the changes in Dubsado.
Yeah.
I do have it set where I get an email that says, you need to approve this workflow action. And that way I can just glance before they get it. But glancing and clicking OK is so much better than having to actually get in there and type it all up. So
exactly.
You do have control. You can pause a workflow at any time. And then restart it if for any reason you need to. So workflow and task management. The other thing that I love about a CRM is forms, which forms in Dubsado is anything, inquiries, contracts, questionnaires, order forms, surveys. I've used it for a model team application when I was doing model teams, and girls would fill out an application and I would select. But any kind of form that you need your clients or your potential clients to fill out, you can have it in there. And then you can either just use a link to it or you can put it in your workflow.
Oh,
so
awesome.
March 1st, every year, no matter if my clients have ordered graduation invitations in September or December or January, we don't print them until the last minute because sometimes details change.
Yep.
There may be a flood and your graduation might be at a different location because that happened in Nashville in 2010.
Oh my God.
So they don't print their graduation invitations until the last minute. And because of that, when I'm sitting with them at their order appointment and they've made a whole bunch of decisions, I tell them, you don't even have to think about grad cards yet. On March 1st, you're going to get an automated email from me with an order form. You can call me if you have any questions. Otherwise, you just fill it out then. And so all of my clients get the same email with the same order form on March 1st. And I just know that I'm spending the first couple weeks of March focusing on invitations. Cause it's already set up and I know that everybody's going to get it every year. So I love the forms and the automated part of that. The schedule, I mentioned that I've just briefly used the scheduler part, but I feel like it could be a game changer if I ever felt like I could let go of some of the
parts that and that's the thing, I know a lot of photographers talk about how that is like their thing. That's how they make it easy for their clients, is that they have a scheduler and that's what they live and die by. So that would be nice for the photographers where that's their thing. They want everybody to sign up and get the schedule going and all of that. But it's also nice, like you said, that you don't necessarily have to do that if you don't want to. Because I'm like you, Erin, where I almost want to vet the people that I am working with first. I've definitely had some people inquire who were ready to book, but then after talking to them, I've realized I'm not going to be able to help them in the way that they need.
Yes.
They need to have a different photographer so that I don't have to deal with going back in and refunding them and doing all of that. I've had that happen enough times where for me, a scheduler is not a thing unless I'm doing mini sessions. In a mini session, that's way easier for me. So I love that idea that I could use the scheduler for a mini session and do that, but not use it for other things if I didn't want to.
Right. Excellent. And then the last few things that Dubsado offers that are excellent, and I just haven't fine-tuned them enough yet, the report. So I do use Dubsado to collect money from clients. And the way that I personally, my business do it, I have a session fee that I take to get the name in my calendar. And then I collect a minimum order deposit 2 weeks before the session. And basically it's kind of a built-in payment plan, like a plan. So they get an automated email a month before their session reminding them about this. So I'm collecting money from them that's categorized differently for me. One of them session fee, one of them's for product. And then I do in-person stuff. And so for me, I sit with them, I create an invoice right in front of them, I take their payment. And so the reports within Dubsado for me aren't always 100% accurate because I take money in person outside of using it. Mm-hmm. But if I were to have typed everything in, you can put in all of your products and you can invoice your client within the CRM so that then at the end of the year, it will tell you exactly how much you sold in wall art or albums or grad cards or files. There have been times where I've thought about switching just to be able to have that categorized so easily. Mm-hmm. I've not made the jump yet. But I see the value in having those reports. If no one's buying certain types of products from you, maybe it's time to let that one go and introduce something else. Yeah. Or, so I do see the value in reports. I've not utilized it as much as I should. And the same with, there's a time tracker. I really should be using the time tracker.
I have tried so many time trackers and I forget.
What? Yeah, I'll get a notification that's like, your time tracker has been running for 1,000 hours. Did you? What? For the sweet souls that could utilize it, there is a time tracker. And then you can look at your calendar, at a glance. So there is a separate calendar section. And I'm sure there are so many features that I'm not even using. But what it all comes down to for me is I wouldn't be doing the things that it's doing for me. I just simply wouldn't. And so not only is it getting done, it's getting done and it's making me look great and organized. And it's so much less than what I would pay if I hired office help to help me. And, I'm not trying to get rid of jobs for people. I love small business owners. We are here to cheer for them all day long. But the cost of a CRM is just hard to beat when it comes to, paying someone to keep up with all of these things for you. So at the moment of recording, Dubsado has 2 tiers that you could subscribe to. Per year, there is a $200 option and a $400 option. To get all of the things that I've mentioned, you would need to go with the $400 option. But I was thinking about it before we started to record. Let's say you have 40 clients. And some people have way more than 40, but if you're a wedding photographer, 40 might be your max. Or if this is a part-time thing for you, or if you are a higher end photographer, there are many people who might just have 40 clients, and that's an easy number to go with. That's $10 per client you're paying for them to have an experience that's so much better than what you could most likely provide without it. And I feel like it's a no-brainer. I know that's if you're not paying that money, it's hard to give it up.
Yeah.
But I will not. I mean, I'm not looking back. We are spending hard with this set up. And then it's so much easier. It's so easy to go in yearly and update things, to update my contract, update my pricing. And it just takes me a day to go in, get it all set up when things are slow. And then for the rest of the year, I'm a well-oiled machine again. Mm-hmm. So today is all about trying to take things off of your plate so that you can do what you're good at, so that you can focus on your people. So I wish that I had a little bit more of a comparison on other CRMs And so that's my plan for the newsletter this week, is to put a comparison chart. I won't be able to talk about all of them, but I will take a few of the popular CRMs and discuss them, and share that in the newsletter. So if you are not signed up, again, you just go to theeditweekly.com, type in your email address. We're going to start sending you all sorts of stuff just to make your life with work easier so that you can just love it all. Right, lady?
Exactly. Yes.
Did you have any questions before we sign off on CRMs?
No questions. But what I love is, because it's been probably about 7 years since I've used a CRM, and they've come so far. So just even hearing about all the new things that it's able to do that my old CRM did not do is awesome.
One thing that you just made me think of, it is not a thing yet, but there has been talks about a mobile version, an app, because it'd be so helpful. It's so helpful to be able to pull it up on my phone and do it all. It's not that hard to pull it up on a mobile browser, on a browser on my phone and do it, but it'll be so much better with an app.
Yeah.
So that's on the horizon is what they say. Dubsado has been really great about updates and just constantly rolling out things. And I'm sure that so many of them are. But yeah, it's cool.
I love it. Might have to actually change my ways come this new year.
Out the time you're gonna say.
I know. I'm like,
use for other things.
I know, which is like all I'm ever trying to get back is time. My goodness, maybe 2024. That's the year. Amanda Waldman Photography. I finally get an actual CRM, like a real one, not a cobbled together thing that I make happen.
And you need to check the newsletter, and I'll for you.
And something else that I just thought about, I said I don't use a CRM, but with Swift Galleries, which is who I work with, we do have a CRM. It's just completely different because we have, I don't know how many hundreds of clients. It's not we're a software company.
Sure.
So we do have that. And I think the photography CRMs are just something really unique. And as we have like such a unique job for what we do, it is like no other job you can have out there. It's awesome.
I feel like a lot of the people who create things for photographers were photographers to begin with, right?
Yep.
So I don't know that. I haven't done my history on the creators, but I feel like it's people who they saw the problem, they saw the need for it, and then they went out to create it. But the great thing about it is we're creatives, and so the design of Dubsado is beautiful in the way that I can customize all of it. And it just feels like someone got in my brain and was like, here's my problem. I need it fixed. And they fixed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the cool thing about, I think, softwares geared towards photographers is that typically they've been where we're at.
Yeah. Exactly. And they're tired of fumbling around and making Google reminders for themselves.
No more, Amanda.
Exactly. I know. 2024. That's my year.
Well, guys, if you're curious about Dubsado and want to give it a try, we're including a 20% off code in the newsletter. Be sure to sign up at theeditweekly.com. If you are getting the newsletter and you're loving it, hit us up on Instagram and let us know what you've seen recently that you loved or what you might want us to chat about in the future. We can't wait to see you there. Thanks for listening. Bye.